At the table, Paul Rieckhoff, host of the Independent Americans podcast and founder of the group Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans for America, and former top State Department official Rick Stengel is here. We were talking in the break, the Netflix series doc on the golf world shows how this has divided the world of golf. We sort of peel off the political piece of this and the Trump piece, but it's incredibly divisive.
I think so. I mean, it's kind of becoming a golf tour that has a blue section and a red section. And for me, it's about patriotism. I'm a golf fan. I'm a really bad golf player. But my sons and I now root against live golfers.
Wow.
We root for them to lose because, in my view, they've sold out. They've sold their souls to the Saudis. As a 9/11 first responder, I'm outraged by the entire thing. I think the entire thing is a national security issue. They're trying to sport wash their image. And every golfer that decides to take the money and stand with the Saudis, in my view, is standing against America. And so it's really enveloping the entire golf world. But I think it's very much a political issue that's dividing America. And you've got live golf is going to start to look like the WWE. I mean, it's going to be red and blue, and golfers are going to have to choose. And fans are largely going to have to choose, too.
I don't even know what we do with that, but, we can't look away.
By the way, here's the indisputable fact. I mean, first of all, he's never seen a conspiracy theory that he doesn't lend credence to. The thing we do know, and we know everything about 9/11, is 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudis. I mean, we've never actually punished them in a way that we probably should. And certainly the 9/11 families are very aware that the Saudis were part of it. I want to go to your point, Paul, which was really good, which we will engage with. But this idea that Democrats have somehow ceded to Republicans patriotism, the flag, military service is a problem. And I've been talking about it. Wes Moore has been talking about it for many years. I mean, we Democrats need to bring back those values to the party, to talk about the importance of service, the importance of military service, the flag, all of those things. I mean, and you have a guy in Trump who never has done anything of public interest or for the country his whole life till he ran for president, who now wraps himself in that. That's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a bigger issue. I think that this is a national security issue. We keep talking about Trump like he's Bob Dole. We need to talk about Trump like he's Muqtada al-Sadr, okay? This is not just a political story. He is galvanizing, motivating, and mobilizing millions of people who are angry, who have deep animosity, and have guns. And he's pointed them at places before, and he could point them at places again. This isn't just about whether he wins the nomination. This is about whether he continues to mobilize people to overthrow our government.
Which is still his message.
Yes.
And this
out in the open.
There was a warning yesterday. DHS issued a warning yesterday. We blew up our show. We spent 20 minutes on it. Why didn't the Democrats go to the steps of the Capitol and say, we now have a target list? The Department of Homeland Security has developed evidence that says that the threatened people and places in America include LGBTQ community, include government buildings and institutions, includes everybody that Donald Trump and Trumpists and Trump allies attack day after day after day after day, to your point, largely with conspiracy theories.
I'm not holding my breath for the Democrats to win this for America. I mean, I think most Americans aren't. I think that's why more and more people are leaving.
The alternative is Trump.
No, well, the alternative is other people involved in this conversation beyond the elected leaders from what I call the two-party duopoly that's gotten us into this. Now, they're not the same, okay? But we keep hoping that the Democrats are going to step up and meet the moment. We keep hoping that they're going to redefine patriotism. We keep hoping they're going to define Trump. Well, they're not the only players on this battlefield. And I think independents and unaffiliateds are part of it, but I think it's people who haven't conventionally been in politics. Most Americans aren't going to listen to Joe Biden anymore. They're not going to listen to Nancy Pelosi anymore, but they might listen to the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, C.Q. Brown. They might listen to retired generals or people outside of politics, and they have got to get in this discussion and help us reach more people.
But I have to say, though, I once upon a time would have agreed with that when the duopoly was two parties that basically accepted normative politics and were basically patriotic. But when you have one party now, which is using conspiracy theories to motivate people to rise up against the government.
To plot a coup.
It's like then who's ever in opposition has to be given credibility, and you have to vote for them. I mean,
they have to earn your credibility. Right? They don't get it by default. And the reality is that many people in this country are Democrat by default. And what I see, when I talked about it, 49% of veterans are unaffiliated and independent. 60% of young people are unaffiliated and independent. They are checking out and they're saying none of the above. And what they're looking for is leadership. They're looking for leadership that can transcend party. They're not
Yeah.
holding their breath for the next Democrat to come up or for Joe Biden for another term. That's the truth that happens off of cable news and in the heart of America, in my view.
But what I would say to those people who are independents is the bar is pretty low for Democrats to be approved of. It's like, I'm not supporting insurrection against the United States.
Yeah,
I'm not supporting a default that will hurt every single wallet of every single American. That isn't too hard.
Yeah, but I think what Paul is saying is to turn them into people who may or may not agree with you and to people who actually go out and vote for you is a whole different undertaking. And if you're not asking the question, you're part of the problem. Of an opaque investigation and outside a very sophisticated and high-level Washington effort to sort of broaden the aperture when people think about and talk about Saudi Arabia. What do you think voters think about Trump's warm public embrace of the Saudi golf tournament?
I don't think they normally pay that much attention, but this is an example where the culture and the politics intersect. People care about golf. They care about the PGA. They care about whether or not, Phil Mickelson's going to go to live or Tiger holds out. And I think the fact that Tiger stayed with the PGA was a very important thing. He turned down like $800 million to stay with the PGA. And Tiger's trying to fix his own image. And you have to remember, Tiger's also the son of a Green Beret. I mean, he was raised in a relatively patriotic military family. And I think he viewed it as a patriotic move. So I think issues of patriotism that are thrust into the forefront, like Kaepernick kneeling on the national anthem, the NFL, PGA golf, I think that will impact voters because they look at it as a cultural issue. It's bigger than politics. And I also think it's important to remember it's a national security issue because even our golf is now divided. Yeah. And every time America is divided, our enemies are celebrating. Putin loves this. Right. They love seeing us divided in every element of our society to now even include golf.
I want to press you on that because Republicans are so expert when the facts are not on their side of playing the patriotism card. Mm-hmm. Who do you see on the Democratic side with facts on their side and public values on their side capable of making the argument you just made?
I think it's always veterans. I think it's going to be both sides. I think we're seeing more and more the proxy war of veterans that are going to run and run on their service. I think you're going to hear DeSantis talk a lot more about his Navy service.
He started it last night.
On the other side, you see folks like my friend Wes Moore in Maryland, who's trying to reframe patriotism. He's going to talk about his time as an 82nd Airborne veteran. And I think that veterans are going to hopefully open the aperture and have a more thoughtful conversation about patriotism. But they're also going to be proxies for the parties. And that's why I see consistently so many veterans checking out of both parties and declaring themselves as independents. 49% of my generation of veterans are independent. They're unaffiliated. They're rejecting both parties, and they're looking for leaders that can transcend party and bring us together and focus on patriotism first.
serious time we're in. It could be just about any political, ideological, religious, social cause. It can be reaction to legislative decisions. It could be reactions to judicial decisions. It could be reaction to prosecutorial decisions.
Paul.
You know, the 9/11 Commission did get to the bottom of 9/11. And we all sat around and said, how many signs did we ignore? Every day we're covering the signs. There are little Oklahoma cities. There are little Wacos happening on infrastructure, happening on political leaders, happening on our Capitol every single day. And this is the time for us to look at the signs and respond to the signs in the way we wish we did before 9/11. It shouldn't take a building getting blown up. It shouldn't take Stewart Rhodes being released or even his minions acting on the stuff we're hearing today. That is how immediate it is. And I think we can't count on the Democrats alone to defend this. It's got to be the FBI, the CIA, the national security apparatus, because they're already in this, and they're putting it out to the public saying, we're concerned about it, we need you to be concerned about it. So it's long past the days of see something, say something.
Right.
You've got to get involved now and fight this for the national security threat it is.
Yes, I agree. If we treated it like we treated terrorism after 9/11, we would be able to do something about it. We saw during Obama's term, and we've talked about this a bunch of times, the rise of white extremism, of illegal militias that we hadn't seen before. It sort of stopped after that. And then Trump reignited it. And that is the problem, that the rhetoric is also so bad. I mean, the failure of people to condemn this is almost like supporting it, right? I just can't.
Well, that's how they hear it.
I can't. That's how they hear it. I mean, I can't forgive someone for not condemning it. So I agree the Democrats have to be stronger about it. I think there's always some reluctance because the very power that people are threatened by in protest that you use against them can maybe make the fire grow even higher. But I also think, you know, the thing about the Stewart Rhodes verdict is there has to be accountability for those insurrectionist actions. People have to see that they're punished and realize that this is not something you can support in any way.
18 years is not enough. Someone argued the penalty for sedition is death. And that is a conversation that the country has to have. We have to have this out in the open. We wouldn't let Osama bin Laden walk in 18 years. Why are we going to let this guy walk in 18 years? Like, we have to understand how high the stakes are and hold all of our leaders accountable to respond to their number one duty, which is to keep us safe, keep all of us safe.